Good morning in Australia and Asia. Also, good afternoon in Europe and Ontario, New York, and so on. And good afternoon here in BC. I should say good evening in Ontario. Good afternoon here in BC in West Coast. So thank you for coming to the teaching on YouTube. The subject of the teaching today is Lojong. In Tibetan word is Lojong. Lojong means thought transformation, thought transformation. So Lo is thought or mind. Jong means to transfer your mind or purify your mind in a positive way, good way, and all the defilements, whatever, normal sort of delusions, whatever that goes on in our mind, it happens, and due to the habits and past experience, it's happening. So these things need to be transformed, especially when we are stressed out. We have anxieties and fear, and due to current circumstances in the world, and people have lots of worries, and also people are tired of this disease and not knowing when this disease is going to end and what is going to happen. So people are tired, anxious, and frustrated. I see lots of people around the world today. And there are also these disease and death and destructions and poverty and people losing jobs and fear of losing jobs and no income and so on and so forth. It is a lot of stress, huge stress, for the family and for their lives, and even marriage and so forth. And as now kids going back to school, there's another worries, So this time, I think is a very good time to do some Lojong practice, thought transformation. And so I thought this would be kind of appropriate practice. So there are many types of Lojong teachings given by various masters, goes back for hundreds of years. The Lojong is one of the principal practice, one of the main practice of the Kadamba tradition, or actually Buddha's tradition, Buddha's teaching, but also Lojong was taught by Atisha Dipankara and so forth, the great Kadamba Geshis and the disciples of Atisha Dipankara and the Lojong lineages come through the Kadam tradition. And we have two very prominent texts called Seven-Point Thought Transformation, written by Geshe Chekawa, Kadamba Geshe. There's another text called Eight Thought Transformation, composed by Geshe Langri Thangpa Dorje Singhe. So there are lots of Lojong texts. So I should say some words in Tibetan because we have Tibetan friends here. So the Rinchen Sunjun Pewa Shira Gawachung Tuji Che, that Lojong Tiji Shuayin, Lojong said the law said the similar, Jung said the same, that the same the build up Yungada, and then Chu Golaya, Joyada, and then she same Majiba, the same tool. In Tirinkasa, Nazatu Jambul and the Yos and the same Majiba Ingudo, she does same Majiba, same dish which and make Kashi Tong, Kashi Na, so Namit in the Naya and Yingado, and Bugutusata, Labdal, the weird to sound, the Bawa Amazu, same dish Yorwa, and then Chidan, Ching, me, King, to San Zambul and Daganishra, Benjamin Yamni, Shidakani Johnson, Semti Shidado, Narayana Semtido, Tamala Semti means Suji Yomaravada, Tindi in Zane, the Tari Lojung, the Tiji, Chigio, the Lojung, the Tine, Yamlenji, Javana, Samla Hida, Pembo Yungre, the Dindire, and the Narange Yamyung Yok, Lojung, that's Gomyung. And then the Lojong, Kaso Jubas and Amandacho, Sanji Chore, Sanji Mason, Tene Lavato, Atisha the Bonkar and Domtom, but Javin June, Gishi Chekawa, Gishi Karsa, the Langritamba Dojisingi, Otusine, Margin, Lojong, Tundima, the Lojong Sijimas, Lojong Momboyore, Otus Chine, Kadame Yamne, Manzo, Rogilu, Yamne Chigior, Kajuda, Saja. Ningma gilu samage lojung skin samanyam nangyore odi pyoge chuju nala lojung yamne mijenge lojung chu sumne masong itene yomare depena ga ju lama jangung kundula sawata kerachi mutiti lojung ti masona saja lama kerachi mutana ningma lama samen sunguyore. So I'm saying Lojong is a very popular teaching in Tibet, very common teaching. All the four lineages of Tibetan Buddhism, Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, Gyalug, all the great lamas are taught Lojong in the past, and it is mainly from the Kadam tradition, because it is very beneficial and effective to our Dharma practice in everyday life. This is why Lojong teachings are very popular. As you know, there are lots of Lojong texts are translated into English. And there is one famous book called Advice from the Spiritual Friend by Lojong commentaries by Geshe Rapten and Geshe Nawang Darje and so on. We have many texts in English now available. So today I'm going to teach one particular Lojong text, which is called the Wheel of Sharp Weapon, as you see here. This book is. It was published by Lotsawa Publications in India, Dharamsala, I think, or Delhi. And there's the translation of the root text. And there is also a translation of Lojong, Wheel of Sharp Weapon commentary by Geshe Nawang Darje. Geshe Nawang Darje was from Seraj, my monastery. And I know Geshe Nawang Darje. I spent a lot of time with him when I was growing up in Dalhousie in India back in 1960s and 70s. Geshe Nawang Darje was a brilliant scholar and great teacher with a great sense of humor, wonderful. I was very fortunate. I spent a lot of time with him. Although he was not my personal guru, but he was like a guru, spiritual mentor. We enjoyed a lot of our companionship or friendship. So then Geshe taught in Tibetan Library of Archives in Dharamsala for many years. And then he retired from there, moved on to South Island of New Zealand, Dunedin. He lived there for a number of years, and Geshe passed away. So here is the commentary of Geshe Nawang Darje. I will go through this. And the Lojong Daring Tia, the Lojong Choncha Kolos, Mother Pogetola, Choncha Kolos, Ingela, Will of Sharp Weapons. And the Jawadi Geshe Nawang Darje Shumiji Kerechim Gishi Yoren, Namadala on the Yamdushira, Lochunjungal, Yamdula, Devre, Geshe Mezekavachimore, Geshe and Dharamsala. Benzo Kala Lomombola Chavitina, Tine, Goloya Gachin, New Zealand, my penny, New Zealand, Lomombosh, and Shingla Pere, Otus, that didn't the Lojong Dushinma Tea. So I will now read the Tibetan text, and it's a sort of very poetic. So, I should say, this text was composed by Dharmarakshita, very famous Indian master. His name is Dharma Rakshita. And this text, the teaching was introduced from India to Tibet by Atisha Dipankara. It was brought to Tibet by the great Indian Pandit Atisha, 982 1054, and was translated from Sanskrit into Tibetan by Atisha and his main disciple Upasaka Domtomba. So this text, the original text, Will of Sharp Weapon, Lojong Sonjokolo, translated by Domtomba himself, and Domtomba and Atisha together from Sanskrit into Tibetan. And that the Bichadi Zamgandi Damara Chitas, Kuman Lama, Jagal Lama Kiri Chamuchiresha. The Juba de Atisha Lama, now Atisha Gitini, Loma, Ta Loza, Domtomba Javinion, Loza, Jeres Tuba, trimming Sungore, and Loza, Domtomba Upasakas, San Guinea, for a Mijare, Tabamare, within the Tushune. Adisha down, Domtomba, Namdola, Tabede, Bagetul, Pajuna, or Odusre. So here it is the Tibetan text. Lojong Sonja Kolo, Xi Jao, Yuso, Kunjo Somla Chatalo, Dawanela, Wapa, Sonji Kolo Xi Jawa, Towa Shinji Shela, Chapchalo, Odusre. So I said in Tibetan, those of you who know Tibetan, you actually got the Tibetan text. So here is the, this is actually sort of the preliminary honorific or honoring the text. The Wheel of Sharp Weapon, the name of this work is The Wheel of Sharp Weapons, effectively striking the heart of the foe. I pay heartfelt homage to you, Yamantaka. Your wrath is opposite to the great Lord of the Death. Okay, so this is very clear. So, Kunjo Sumla Chaso, that Dambo Kunjola Swata, Sanji Chuda Gindu Kunjo. So to three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. So now, so the why this text is called the Wheel of Sharp Weapon. Now, usually, excuse me, we have a very dense smoke here now from forest fire. Start burning from California, Oregon, Washington State. Even here, around here, there are a few forest fires. So smoke is very thick. You can't see beyond 100 meters. So I'm starting a little bit irritated in my throat and eyes. I almost feel like being in Majunukatila in Delhi. And so it's all right. I'm used to. So I don't want you to worry about me because I'm a little bit coughing, and just from the smoke. So so normally we don't use this kind of word like a wheel of sharp weapons, right, in Buddhist text, because when you see this text, you might think, what is this? Wheel of sharp weapon? This is some kind of a ninja ninja text or martial arts. Some kind of martial arts, kung fu, or some kind of like ninja, like Bruce Lee kind of stuff. What is this? Why they call Wheel of Sharp Weapons, right? So this is a very important word. There is a great reason why it's called Wheel of Sharp Weapons. That Sonja Kolos in the Karala words. Namjing on the number two and the Sonja and the knitting Ramanashida. So in Buddhism, we practice loving kindness. Why do we need the weapons? Right? Loving kindness is the best weapon. And the Buddha did practice loving kindness at the time when he was about to get enlightened. And then all the demons showed up. He meditated on loving kindness. Then all the demons, no more, subdued, right? So now why we use this word, wheel of sharp weapons? Because when you have ego, when you have a strong delusion, and it's keep coming back all the time, you feel you are obsessed by your delusions, you feel you are possessed by your delusions, you are possessed by your inner demons and maras, then you feel like I did everything. I meditated on loving kindness, bodhicitta, this and that. I say mantras, still doesn't work and not working. And it's nothing because it's not fault of Dharma, but something is missing from my side. I need to do something different, slightly different practice, And so then I think I need some kind of a weapon, some kind of like a sword to chop up my ego. So this is why we use this word wheel of sharp weapon. You need a weapon, sharp weapon to cut your ego. And it's like a ninja, those ninja tools, ninja weapons, the round one with looks like a wheel you throw and then it goes away, go around and hit different places. It could even hit you. Or in Australia, the indigenous people have a tool or weapon called boomerang, and you throw the boomerang, it goes around, hit, and who you want to hit, or it could hit you because it come back to you, and boomerang that we call the boomerang effect, right? Kind of like that, wheel of sharp weapon. It goes around, comes around. So, and we need strong practice to counteract our defilement, delusions. That the choncho kolose choncho go junje karesena so nangla tene nyomu tu son doja shena tumu tene labo de danzi mariba all asota karste shuji yoro karso shuk chimuji and the pachagi one and the kaduina chi cho nyamle chebe kawina da nyamle me gomje kawina da kaduina chi doja de ya chi shedang tumu chi chi cho lamla mandro che ane namdo mambo che chi kabu da ane dangzin de jinjin je야게 chi 껴야게 chi 다 천적선도 chi 연하 면하 something sam나 거용 거 지 유지레스 다 연하 chi chi 전체 chi 다 근데 이제는 천적 콜로스요 다 천적 문제도 말아 라고 생각해 이렇게 해요 말아 어떤데 다 냠렌지다 냠렌지 심 숙청부지 냠렌지다 어시거 so here we're not talking about we need to go and get some weapons or ninja weapons or some kind of sword. And we don't use external weapons. We use only inner weapons. And this is why. And so here, name of this work is Wheel of Sharp Weapons, effectively striking the heart of the foe. So heart of the foe is Dawunedang. So Tibetan word for foe is called Dawo. Dawunela means so you strike for the enemy. Strike, you need a weapon, you strike the weapon to the enemy. Okay? So who's the enemy? We don't have outside enemies. And only inner enemy. Inner enemy is the inner foe is our own delusions and our own ego, our own insecurity, our own traumas, our own confusions. This is our ongoing enemy. This enemy can last rest of your life, and not only this life, at the time of your death or bardo or next life, it keep coming back to you all the time, attacking you all the time. It is comparing to the external enemies. This is much more dangerous. So so-called external enemies don't last very long. They come and go, and but this is a long kind of long ongoing thing. So you strike, it says here, effectively striking the heart of the foe. And we need this practice. Then the dawo say the chidan dawo the nang dawo the chig dawo chilo dawo the nang dawo si chena le lao yore kind of chilo dawo the chi pang go da ya chi yore ngo te ni ya chi Kashawarta, Tundi, Chintangani, the Chigi Mess, Tulam Chess, Tindi Chair, and Naman Chair, Yorwa. The Nangi Dawadi and Dojasha, Tumu, the Dangdi, and Dangdi, the Majavina, then it sent that say Chima and the Pardo, Chima Kaduina, and you lay over the Tendi in the Nangi Dawad, that's our nipet that Jagover. Tendi in the Chonjadigi, two or Tendi in the Chonja Kolos. So, Davinella Papi, Chonja Koloshi Jawa. I posted, I pay heartfelt homage to Yamantaka. Your wrath is opposed to the great Lord of the Dead. So here is very interesting. Dharma-Rakshita is paying homage to Yamantaka. And this is not a tantric text. This is not Yamantaka Tantra. This is not Yamantaka Sadhana. But he paid homage to Yamantaka. Okay, the Yamantaka is a wrathful form of Manjushri. Yamantaka is a deity who is the embodiment of wisdom of all the Buddhas. And he is one of the main yidams of the Lama Tsongkhapa and Gelugpa tradition. We have three main yidams: Yamantaka, Guya Samaya, and Heruka, Chakra Sambara, right? In the same Sakya tradition also. Heruka, Yamantaka, Guya Samaya, and Hevajara, and so forth. So Yamantaka, Lama Tsongkhapa himself is embodiment, emanation of Manjushri, emanation of Yamantaka. So we have a very special connection with the Yamantaka deity. And many of you have received Yamantaka initiations and teachings and commentaries. And so Yamantaka, so this word Yamantaka means opposite or opponent of Yama. Yama is death. Yama is opponent of the death, okay? And death and destructions. And so in order to conquer or subdue death and destructions, inner death destructions, we should pray to Yamantaka, do Yamantaka practice. And Yamantaka is the most powerful yidam of all yidam deities. Okay? Duduji Shugi, Dandela, Toshinjishela Chancelos, Toshinjish, Tone, that was the Taposigaro. Shinjishi said, Pogela Shinjishi, some to the Kela, Yamantaka Asu, Shinji singati, Chida Shinjiso, Pena, Nyavala, Chida Shinji or Shinji, Chidak Shinji, Shinji, Shet, said Shinji Digi, Captes or that. Shinji de Mevasong, Kapte Jing, de la Shinji Shet, Yamantaka. So, Yamantaka Dojin Jigera, Matu Pogeta, Dojin Jiges, Vaja Berawa. Yamantaka, la Sik Mandaja, something to Galatis, Vaja Berawas do, Vaja Bera Pogeta, la Tera, Dorje Jigje, Doji Jigin, Jebaj, Toja, Dunduji, Medula Dubdane, Kiricho, Tibo. So Yamantaka is another word, another name, which is called Vajra Bhairava. Vajra Bhairava. Vajra Bhairava means Durjin Jigji in Tibetan word is a Vajra terrifier. Okay, terrifier. So what does this mean, terrifier? So what happens when you practice Yamantaka? Then it is so powerful, it will terrify, it will desiccate and diminish your ego or your inner demons or inner foe. That's what I call terrifier. You see, powerful practice, right? It is kind of like martial art, right? And don't mess around and make my day. And, so kind of like that. And so here Lama Acharya Dharma Rakshita he's not suggesting you should practice Yamantaka sadhana at this point, although he was a practitioner himself. And at some point one should practice Yamantaka those who you have not received Yamantaka initiation, you should consider taking Yamantaka initiation to the practice in the future. I would suggest you will be very good, especially in this degeneration age. So there are 5 special qualities of Yamantaka practice. I won't go through all the details because it's Tantra. And it says, in this degeneration age, you need Yidam deity like Yamantaka. And that Poketala Dojin Jiji Senan Mendo Yamantaka Senamendo, then Dojin Ji, Yidam Nanta, Yidam Karsaki, he Karachambore, Tachambore, and Tiring Karsanta, Nima Tundela, Nimanga Tundela, and Yidam, then Dojin Jiji, Jiji Nashi Mena, Kaboresmo. Yiram Dojin Jiji, Yamne Chavina, put up with Chavina, and Karshota, Nimanga, Twinima, Simjanima, Tawanima, then Numunima, Nimanga, Takmabushu Moche, what Nimanga do the Yamenta, Yamne Chavana, Cholamso, Langa Pachema, Vatani, Yamne to the Yabu, Tawan, new to Java, and Sanjay Kompala, Ta near and Royal Tenepe, Chalam Chamber, in the Yamenta and Yamne Chavores, then the Yans Sungure, or Tendire. So, in this degeneration age, we have what we call 5 degenerations: degeneration of life, degeneration of time, degeneration of delusions, degeneration of view, and so on and so forth. And it is very effective. If you practice Yamantaka, will help you overcome all the obscurations and inner demons, and it will help you to become enlightened. It help you to become closer to the enlightenment, Buddhahood. This is why Yamantaka practice is very popular, Yamantaka practice in Tibet. So here, Dhammarakshita pay homage to your wrath is opposite to the great death of the Lord. So, this Lojong practice is this Lojong practice has a connection with the Yamantaka practice, and because the connection is the wisdom. Okay, what is the connection here? See, the essence of this Lojong practice is really to sharpening your mind. This is why I call wheel of sharp weapon, sharpening your mind and cultivate the wisdom of shunyata and eliminate ignorance, dullness mind, and confused mind, and negative mind, sharpening your mind. So the wisdom, cultivating wisdom. And so this practice, Lojong has a special connection with Manjushri and Yamantaka. This is why Dhammarakshita is paying homage to Yamantaka first. Tangi Bogetola Shuin, the Tarindi, Lojong, the Sanjo Kolo, Godela, Yamantaka, and Karsu, Choju Chedwa, so that we are. Data with Junzenda Karisena, the Lojong, the Koran Karsota, Tansen Mama, Malo become Yamneche Vegala, Keche Shute, so Cheshute, Shirab do Yare, Shirab, Semde, put out with Samaji, any Semde Sebo, Karshota, Gomja, Gom Yamneche Karshota, Shukjambada, Buddha, Zangma, Yabuji, you are the indicator this effective or effective you are. Indeed, Shirab, so Dumbani, Tawa, Toya, Chedula, and in the Lojong de Sunguyore, and the Mashita Tumbani Chibumare, Chanju Sunda, Tumbani Nigare, Lojong Manchati, Chanju Sum, Chanju Sum, Zojin, Lojong Manchak Yamnete. Lojong and Yamle Manchete, Chanju Sum Goyarwa, Zodi. Garindela, Chanju Sam down, Dumbani, Niga Gomiagi, the Zane, Tendi Zane, Lama Rakshita, Dhamma Rakshita Geni, Yamanta Galatani, Chojuj, so on the Viore. So, usually when we do Lojong practice, main focus of Lojong practice is meditation on bodhicitta. And to overcome our self-centered mind, selfish mind. And then we also do meditation on shunyata to cut self-grasping mind, right? So here is wisdom teaching. This Lojong is mainly wisdom. This is why I pay homage to Yamantaka. Now I began the actual text here. 다 직제 담보들 내가 고주위 전도 나서 맞아 주와나 민준도 럴리번 지주장 맞이 전화 가와 민주지 전도 주지 맞아 초다 바온 코로나는 주바나 대지 발전도란 지주장 바오다는 차바 민주지 동안나도 선바 초인 동아나 Su, Simba Choyin, that's the Tibetan word. So the English translation here, in the jungle of poisonous plants, shroots, the peacocks, though medicine gardens of beauty lies near. The masses of peacock do not find gardens pleasant, but thrives on the essence of the poisonous plants. In similar fashion, the brave bodhisattvas remain in a jungle of worldly concerns. No matter how joyful this world's pleasure gardens, these brave ones are never attracted to the pleasures, but thrives in the jungle of suffering and pain. So there's two verses, okay? So here's the Geshe Naondorji's commentary. When peacock wander amidst poisonous plants, they are not attracted to the medicinal or other plants, living on the essence of the poisons. Their life thrives and brilliance of their feathers increases. Similarly, okay, so I'll talk about this now. So it says that the peacock, they eat certain plants which has a poison, which is which obviously it's not poison for the peacock, and but it's poisonous for other birds or other. It's like us human beings. We shouldn't eat that. We could get sick and die. It actually said other birds like crows and could die. So now, why is peacock is eating this poisonous plant? Because this poisonous plant makes the peacock's feathers brighter. That's the reason. The peacock knows. The animals knows. They have a symbiotic relations, and by their instinct, they know. They know better than us, some ways, many ways. This is why they eat this plant. Then they Jindu Nasus, Maji Juana Minjin Dumrali when Jiju Jings, Maji Son the government, Jindu, Majin Totter, Majin Totter, Maja Chamaja Yorwa, indicate peacocks, Hindu indicate more. Or the Chadi Shinasang Landrochi, Shinasang Deshi, and that magic, not the mains and a shingy, shing in the meadow in the Karina Jig, Pigeon meadows on the Shindo de Chikarin, Dangi Akume, Jisavio. This any Sagsavio, this savage in the Karisana, Tigi, main the Shindo de Sene, any magic shopa, magic doyo, then Chundo the Ninjiru, Jerseo Yawu Jingo. The Yuya Tandala Korang Savio. Magic call Hakoya. Semjin to do so Kubamara, once you send Tundure, Kuba Tunduna, you say, Ta Choganes of my she sent a Kuba Tundus Laurimatu, Chinaku, what is your Marwa? Hakoya, or to the Savio, or to Chit, Sago Jintendere. So I was told, example, the butterflies they will land on the top of the crocodiles and eat. They drink the tears of the crocodiles' eyes, from the eyes. And why the butterfly is drinking the tears from the crocodile? Because it makes their feathers beautiful, colorful. And then crocodile is probably happy because he's got so much tears in his eyes. His eyes on the top of his head. Crocodile's got a long face and eyes right on the top of his head, right? It's hard to, maybe there's too much tears, I don't know. And they're helping, in a way, they're helping each other, right? It's like egret land on the cows eating the lice. And egret's happy, he's got food, the cow's happy, and no more lice. And this is how nature works, right? So harmonious relationship. And so I've seen crocodiles in Australia, especially up in Northern Territory, in Darwin, and the land of the crocodiles, and big ones, giant crocodiles. Tadi nganzo pake de la chusin su wa inji ke la crocodiles ni chu ji chembu ji chusin zuburing bu ji do chewa yong ji bu shi o digi mi chu de age adanda chemalel pengyo manzu chemalel sirang ji pake la inji ke la de butterflies chemalel shinju danda chusin mi ka la de mi chu de tongore mi chu de tone ni Chamale Koranga draw the be Ninju Chagor, Zibush Chagor. What in the Chine, Chamale Korala Pengor, choosing Korala Pengigal, Jig Jigwin Jigdo Chigora, or Tendita, nature singing the Chitan is Jig, Tendidua, Conzo Jigil, Nova Jigio Morava. So I'm just saying, telling story. I'm sure you know about all this stuff. And so now, so the peacock, is he happy eating this plant and living in a poisonous plant and like us, we eat foods not always necessarily happy, especially we eat vitamins, supplements, all kinds of stuff, not always pleasant. Some of the taste terrible, some of the drugs or medications or some herbal medicines, and they taste bad. And we're not really enjoying, but we do. We have to eat. We do eat, and we get used to it, right? That makes us healthy and live long life, and so on and so forth. So, and am I attached to my medication and herbs? I'm not attached to this stuff, and why should? And it's unlike some beautiful apples or some kind of nectarine or apricot. If I'm attached. If you ask me, am I attached? I wouldn't say no. I don't want to lie, but I'm not. I don't have a strong attachment, and that's how it is. So so peacock eats what he has to eat, but he has no attachment at all. In a way, peacock doesn't really have attachment. It says peacock is not always necessarily enjoying this, because maybe this poisonous plant that he's eating, it might have a bad taste. It might have some side effect. Who knows, right? We don't know. Peacock knows. Peacock is the only one knows. Maybe it might have some side effect, but then he does eat it because he wants beautiful feathers, right? So it's like that. We take drugs and it has side effects. For example, if you take drugs that has drug for the cholesterol, it has bad side effects, like you get bad cramps and so on and so forth. So it's your choice. You want a cramp or you want no cholesterol problem. What do you want? What's your choice? You make choice. Anyway, kind of like this. So peacock is not attached to this. So that's the example. The Maja de Kora Shingo de Sagiore, Shingo Inanda, Shingo Loma Inanda method Sagio Sane, Sagar Masa Rangsare, Sagway Nickers, the Dodi Yabuchagiora, the Maja Lako the Koraji, Momia, the Dodi Madishin, that they have ever, Jujirava. The day is an day. This any Yanchi Shimbuji on the minute, Mazago Maro, Manzu Samanyori, Shimbuji Jenny Shimbu Yujimare, and that is Sayasago using the Doya we had to the Sagiorva. And several Deni, Jigya Korala Jingo Nayala Soba, Kamba Nayala Soba, today Yung Sigrova, and the Chija meant to Sadugala, side effects Sigdoa, or the Sadugala Chichido, Nane, Ben and Gomez again a Togol Nogodoa, or the Yung Sigrova, or the Tate Bit. So this is the example. So now the peacock is the example. The real meaning is the bodhisattva here. Similarly, I'm reading Geshe Ngawataji's commentary. Similarly, the great undaunted bodhisattvas are completely unconcerned with selfish pursuit, but are preoccupied with the concerns of others. There are two heroes wherever those who wield physical weapons are not. When such two heroes wander in the forest of worldly existence, they are not attracted by the many alluring things, for they see the disadvantages and suffering produced by them. Like peacock who thrives on the poison, the bodhisattva use impediments in their environment as conditions conducive to the development of the bodhicitta. We need to train our mind by seeing the disadvantage of mere, this is Geshe Ngawataji's particular comment, mere selfish concerns and advantage of cherishing others. There has been no Buddha who has lacked bodhicitta. Therefore, it is the most precious of treasure. So, here, Pawo Kovenan Jubana Dejipa Jundumran Zijuchang, Pawo Dane, Labar Minjurchis, Donga Nas, Sumba Toy. So the bodhisattva is like the peacock example. And the bodhisattva lives in this world, and the world with so much suffering, chaos, and health problems, and poverty, disease, corruptions, politics, and the world is in threat of nuclear war, and so on, so pollutions, and so on and so forth. But bodhisattva will never give up. Bodhisattva live in this world and do what the common people do, live side by side with the common people, do things with the common people, and to help common people eat the same food, drink same water, and live under these pollutions and under this disease and this virus, with this virus, or facing the danger of virus, and so on and so forth. So is the bodhisattva enjoying? I wouldn't say bodhisattva enjoying. Enjoying is not the question. That's not the question. The question is the bodhisattva's motivation is to help all sentient beings and be an example for all sentient beings. He's not worried about himself or herself, right? Even though bodhisattva is suffering from the world, being stressed by all these problems, but keep going practicing. Bodhisattva's main concern is others, not for himself or herself. Bodhisattva practice exchange the attitude of oneself with others. The bodhisattva does Tonglen practice. Okay? Tangi Bokito Chikshiwa. That's the Maja de Koran de Shindo de Inanda Loma de Sene, Karsota de Dodi Ninju Chagiora, the Marshin, so that you you the Menahawayama. That in the Tan Chanju Sambagata, Gambulina Chanju Samba, and Dushene, Mapet, or Shingamne Mapet, so that's a row. That Zambulin de that Koe nearly, Shuni. Kangi orders and the Kangi Yodo Mina Hinji, me Jolamaro, the Saya making on society, two young ones to the change part of some with the name Kashota, Dunima, and Donghaz Nungur to Tungur, the region Kangi to the Kanga, the Zambulin, Kangi, Nasa to Yandindi, or Kangi to Zambulin, Chenjembare, Sigio, Te Pea, Telechi, Karche or Takare, Chale Karnangon, no. Sosu Gangela Manzi or Jenny. Semjin Shandaga Che de Latini, Chosong, Yamlen Nang, Karache Gugan, and that Dodike Gugan, Dodike, Mil Rochigan, Rochi, Shell, Kalategan, Kalatita, Karina Gugina did, Nangio. And didn't call Della, Cohen Digila, then the changes small, Kora, Chagua Yoris, Chagua Yomata, Chagua Bansare. Chagua Bansare, didn't dodge Chagua Yoma. So, Randu, Meg, Maranga Tondala, Chichibu, the Gawu, Chubu, the Zibu, Ming Chimbu, Tindi, Sawanini, Samlo Yomari. Mission that Jilla, Kayuna, Chiva Yona, Panda, Chik Pena, Karikuna, some Tindi Kora, Rang Jinjin Luda, Yen Jinjin, Yamlenche, Dashin Yamji Chanchu Sim, all those Yamlenane, Tindi in the Chanchu Samba, Chanchu Samba, Changchu Simba said, Chikti. We don't have the Tini Yungo, Changchu said, Sanji Gomarwa. Changchu Simba said, Sanji Gomba, Semja Tamji, Tundu, Sanji Gomba, Tova Jingi, Yamlin Jingi, Tini Karsota, Michi Simba said, Michirwa, me Gijoal and Tini Shu is on it, Chanchu Simba, or the Chagua Yomata, Tini Rang Jinji Lu, the Yin Jinji. Yamlena, Dashin Yamji Chanju Sim, Tanang Jasichimbo, Shawalaga song, then Dashin Yamji Chanju Sim, so it was all the Yamlena to Huguyore. So, here we need to train our mind by seeing the disadvantage of mere selfish concern. So, Lojong, when you do the Lojong practice, you have to look at first the disadvantage of one's own mind, selfish mind. And you have to look at the advantage of cherishing others. Now, why look for advantage? Not for my advantage, for the benefit of all sentient beings. So first you have to look at disadvantage of selfish mind, because it says in the Bodhisattva Charya Avatar, I think, said that Buddhas, all the Buddhas in the past, Bodhisattva in the past, they're passed away. They're gone. Buddhas are Buddhas. Bodhisattvas are Bodhisattvas. Why they become Buddha? Why did they become Bodhisattva? How did they become Buddhas and Bodhisattvas? Because they practice loving kindness. They practice compassion for all sentient beings. They never practice self-centered mind. They're not self-centered. They're not selfish. They're not narcissistic. They're not, That's why they're gone. Become Bodhisattvas and Buddhas. We are ordinary sentient beings. We still in the world. We still suffering. We still groping in the darkness. Why? Because we practice a selfish mind. Always think about me, me, me. From the moment you get up in the morning until you go to bed, you think about me, me, me. Even while you're sleeping, in your dream, you start thinking me, 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 me. Always me. Bodhisattva never think about me. They switch the word, others. So this is why we are still in the samsara, groping in the darkness. Okay? This is the disadvantage of self-cherishing. That then pena sanje da chanju simba da sanje azare chanju kasa chanju simba what sa tangbo ni ba simba jiba guba gasa ngaba tuba dum jiba guba jiba sen duchen komban tawaro tawe jinjin karishin tawe sen ran jinjin lu da yin jinjin shada nyamle chene chanju simba komban to sanje komban to ngaran so jiwa so da dan call chamdi yo groping in the darkness. Tibetan word very interesting. It says which means you are actually it means same thing. Groping in the darkness. Mumba means darkness. Chum means kind of wandering, not knowing where you're going. You go this way and bump into something. You go this you back up and then you go this way. You bump into something, like confused, and you get into so much trouble. So, Dindi in Zanedang, Anzo, Sosuji, which in Hadiarwa, Tamawajin, Haran, Koala, Konde, Dearwa, or Dindi. Dindi, take Gujin can run Jinzing Jones. Run Jinzing Jones, Samata, Gomjo. He, Chiban Zembi, Jinzilla, Dini, Gomjo, or the round Jinzin, Loda, Jin Jinzin, the Yamlin, or to Chabores, a Lojong, a Lojong to show, or Dindi Sungdua. So here, and the advantage of cherishing others. There has been no Buddha who has liked Buddha or Buddha who likes bodhicitta. So there was no Buddha who liked bodhicitta. Otherwise, you can't become Buddha. Or that Janju Samba, Janju Sem Minging Sanji Yomarwa. The Sanji Janju Sem Minging Kawaii Yunguri. Sanji Wala Tombo Janju Sem Gongo, Janju Sem Gongorwa. And the woman you will go to the Yore. Nintu Janju Samba Landrings. Ninji Samba, Nisu Meloda. Janju Sem the Jasenam juice. Ninji Sem the Nisu Meloda, Janju Sem the Jasenam juice. So in the Madhyamika Avatara, very famous tract composed by Acharya Chandrakirti, says, Nyingji Senda Nisa Meloda, Janju Senda Jasena Vijus. He said, compassion and emptiness mind, Shunyata, Nisa Meloda, non-duality, Nyingji Senda Nisa Meloda, Janju Senda, bodhicitta are cause of bodhisattva. So if you want to become bodhisattva, you have to practice compassion. You have to practice shunyata. You have to practice bodhicitta. Then you become bodhisattva. You cannot become bodhisattva without meditating on compassion, shunyata, and bodhicitta. All this. So you must meditate on this disadvantage of self-cherishing and advantage of benefit of others. Benefit of others. Yes, good. So now I will read again the next verse. Here, Koreans. Yubana deji bajin dumra power than chakwa minjuji donganas simba choyins. So I explained that one. Verse 3 is basically the power here is the power is Tibetan word means hero. Who's hero? Bodhisattva is the real heroes. When you talk about hero in the world sense, some military guy, general, somebody's hero, national hero, and he did this, he liberated the country and this and that. And here, from Dharma sense, the real hero is the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva has no fear of samsara, no fear of suffering, and Bodhisattva liberates sentient beings. Therefore, Bodhisattva is hero. So the Bodhisattva is not attached to the worldly pleasures, okay? Not attached to it. Now, some people ask this kind of question, right? Well, it's a good question. Some people say, well, what happens when you become Bodhisattva? You don't enjoy life, and everything in life is kind of tasteless. And what is that? What happened? Does Bodhisattva never enjoy eating ice cream or chocolate? And what happened to Bodhisattva? Doesn't he have a good sleep? Doesn't he need good sleep or a good shower and go for walks, exercise? Bodhisattva doesn't like this kind of stuff? When you become Bodhisattva, you become some kind of weird person, doesn't have any appreciation of life or enjoyment. What is this? Some kind of like widow, mishmash. No, that's not the right word. I'm not thinking, right thinking. Of course, a bodhisattva is human being. Bodhisattva need good sleep. Bodhisattva enjoy eating chocolate or whatever. Lama Yeshi's favorite word is chocolate, and go for walks or whatever. Bodhisattva enjoys. But point is here, bodhisattva is not attached to these things, not obsessed of anything. Okay, so. If whatever he has, fine. If it doesn't have it, doesn't matter. Okay. For example, I have a wonderful guru. One of my gurus is called Tara Rinpoche. Tara Rinpoche. He is not an incarnation of Tara, but I asked, are you incarnation of Tara? He said, no. Tara Rinpoche means my monastery is established in front of the mountain, which is the shape of Tara. That's why they call Tara Monastery. My name is Tara Rinpoche. So my guru Tara Rinpoche is very simple Lama, very pure Lama, and incredibly pure. And he gets up at 4 a.m. First thing he does, Yamantaka long sadhanas. Every morning, never miss one. And then he meditates during the day. And then every now and he very simple. Why I say simple? He doesn't ask me anything. Although I want to offer my service, he doesn't want anything. And I said, what would you like to eat? One thing, he likes sugarless crackers. Only he really enjoys sugarless crackers. I give him sugarless crackers and some black tea, and he's perfectly content. Then I said to myself, my guru is perfect. And he's so simple and so beautiful. I love him so much. I would like to serve him the rest of my life. Yeah. And anyway, so I was very fortunate. Tara Rinpoche luju desho. Tara Rinpoche tere kamla tongorwa. Omba de chaksa de riti gala jijundo me kunda na jinji yorsido. Ti omba de lama inzan chana Tara Rinpoche yesho ga. Ngema jumela judol pe judol tasan kembona doji den gombe kembona. Ngema de Toronto la tema kashi peore. Lama zachi bishigo. Tu chunju de pe nyamlen korana shogi chuzu shiwani yala sha. And Jiggy Daji Java the song. And Rumbuji Shala Karichu, she's mark again moves. Tachi Choran of which she jumbles. And then Takarani we use and then also the crackers and biscuit kidwa, Gini Minging biscuit, they go use. Take Korancho, teacher, Chadan Chichan, Tentar. Shenda gave a Gui Amare. They Korsotabe Tindire Lamashi, then. Missing the Yamish number, such a bishop. Mashiraka was someone to be one that didn't want to you. Mashiraka was some Chunju and Lamare, Dara, Dalos, Jala Devega. She don't be too younger to do to an Lamare, such a future. She in the past. So, now I will go to the text here. At the age of Deji, down to Lemba, I am one can do the Java inside. Don't down to limb somebody. What would do that to the watch it? So here is the verse 3. We spend our we spend our whole life in the search of enjoyment. Yet tremble with fear at the mere thought of pain. Thus, since we are cowards, we are miserable still. But the brave bodhisattva accept suffering gladly and gain from their courage a true lasting joy. So, so we are suffering because we are attached to the joy, attached to the pleasures, attachment for material things. We are attached to many things, name, power, money, this and that. We have lots of attachment. And attachment for being alone or attachment for being with others. Lots of stuff, right? Right now, we have attachment for being with people because we're isolated, so on and so forth. Lots of attachment. And so we spend our life, most of life is sort of pushed around, forced around by our attachment, our greed. And we have no control ourselves. We lost control. And Deji down ngami wang dunga joins. And dunga down the limb, somebody power to that. So we do not face suffering. We don't want suffering. We are avoiding suffering, but we don't know how to go to the root, how to remove the root of suffering. We only like going through, it's like you pruning the trees and then pruning the weeds. If you pruning the weeds and pruning the trees, and then the weeds will grow back again stronger. You need to pull out from the root of the this weed or poisonous plant or whatever. Likewise, we have to pull out our root of our delusions and cause of suffering. Otherwise, we will suffer again and again. So, what the Bodhisattva does, instead of trying to run away from suffering, trying to avoid suffering and temporary suffering, Bodhisattva will pull out the root of the suffering. In the meantime, the Bodhisattva will face the suffering, meditate on the suffering, trying to understand why we are suffering, what is the cause of suffering. Bodhisattva will meditate on the first four noble truths. Noble truth of suffering and noble truth of cause of suffering. Bodhisattva will meditate on it. We are unable to meditate on suffering and the cause of suffering. Because I know one person, one lady told me here in the West, Rinpoche, why are you always talking about suffering? Why is the Buddhists always talk about suffering, suffering, suffering? Right from the beginning, the very first teaching is noble truth of suffering. Why did the Buddha taught suffering? The very first subject teaching the Buddha gave is four noble truths. Among the four, first one is suffering. Why did the Buddha talk suffering? Instead of happiness, joy, this and that, beautiful rainbow, and love, 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 love. Why didn't he teach us? He always talk about suffering, suffering. Because Buddhism is realistic. Buddhism is not optimistic, neither optimistic nor pessimistic. We're realistic. The Buddha wants you to be realistic. Practice, you face it, meditate on suffering and your own suffering, suffering of other people. Then you'll find out what the cause of suffering. If you don't meditate on suffering, how do you know the cause of suffering? If you don't know the cause of suffering, how do you get rid of the suffering? And if you don't know how to get rid of the suffering, how do you achieve cessation of suffering? How do you achieve nirvana? How do you achieve enlightenment? This is why the Buddha taught Four Noble Truths right from the beginning. Buddha didn't say all this sort of wishy-washy and nice stuff. I will give you my enlightenment. Part of my enlightenment. You people are always talking about getting the enlightenment. I will give you a piece of my enlightenment to you. Buddha never said that. Buddha never said like that. And that in the Chanju Sambarwa, Chanju Samba, the Kowe Donga, la Gomja, Donga, Dongagi, when the Dembaji or Donga Demba, Kunjun Demba, Tambo Donga Demba, Gomna, Donga sing the country Chungsha, country Nanzo Donga Yugu Junsenkar, so Nanzo Donga Yungu to us. Donga la Deneji, Zik, Donga Kishanachi and the Choro and the Chigu Donga Goma Jana Donga Jungagi Juyo, 동학의 주들로 공부해야 섬을 지금 말해. 내지의 진정 가르치는 알레 당보 동아니는 소소 동아 진행하더니 나 나사대 정소다 나사대 주드 가리나 가르치에 나이나 소대 섬을 거용도 대 코네네 다 나사대 다야게 탑 가르치에 버려 멤버지 잔도를 섬을 거용도 에 메사야 섬을 걸어 대네 메사야빈전 수부 나사 다도 근데 매는 당보 나사대 섬을 당고 당보 소 당보 동아대 섬을 당고 근데 동아가 주들라 군중된 바시고 거기에들라 군중된 바시 군중승인데 상마 용사대 저거 상마 간이 용을 쓰는 간주 동아 상마 용사대 유디 뉴몽 독성 때니 동아 용어로 와 근데 이제 뉴몽 독성 뉴몽들라 군중수 군용사 강가 용사 마지와 강가 마대와 강가 용사 소소 뉴몽다 때니 당진다 차고 땅한테 벽에 남지 파견쓰기가 가지 않나리 가지 않나리 세대 가지 않나리 생 강가다 가지 않나리 인구다 서서제 마더스 남들은 생각다 대리 가지 않나리 좀 마시 야고 좀 소스 어떻게 세도와 때문에 지금 제고 제가 가블한 다리 가지 않나리 좀 와서 야고 좀 소스로 어때 근데 중국어에 뉴문이 중국어로 so everything comes from the suffering so that's why Buddha bodhisattvas meditate bodhisattva that's why bodhisattvas are brave bodhisattva is not only meditating on suffering cause of suffering myself but for all sentient beings that's why the bodhisattva is called brave so that the 인자의 전주스마다 파워스였다 파워스 쉐 먹어와 지금 동아를 쉐 먹어 동아가 줄을 마셔 동아의 간이 연구를 시니 도스는 거 어떤 리전 다다 어두지 다 동아단을 렘바 심바데 파워도 다 대화인스 다 단된 도차 된다 진도 나단다 파워 맞이도 춘번주로서 나마 자로다 솔런지 around the ginger tune the kalanchun so now this is verse 5 yes sorry 4 oh, okay deje deji tando lemba ngame wang donga joy donga tando lemba we start there okay verse 4 now desire is the jungle of poisonous plants here. So only brave ones, like a peacock, can thrive on such fare. If crowdly being like crows were to try it, because they are greedy, they might lose their lives. So the attachment, our delusions, a realm of delusions, our delusions and our attachment are like a forest or shrub, jungle with many poisonous plants. So the bodhisattva is like the peacock. Peacock roams in this forest with poisonous plants, and peacock has control. Peacock knows what to do, where to live, what to eat, what not to eat. And Tibetan word is power majidev chimpanjus. Ngama charot of solanchi roundu dung kalachi. So ordinary people are like crows. Here, so this is example, right? Is that crows are coward, crows are sometimes nasty, crows are selfish. Of course, some people love crows. I don't have any against crows. I like crows too. Crows are cousins of ravens. Ravens are wonderful birds. Ravens are sacred bird in Tibet. And Mahakala eminent as a ravens. And crows as well, of course. And any black birds, black cows, black horses, black birds are what we call totem animal of the totem birds, totem animals of Mahakala. King of Bhutan, not now, a long time ago, previous king of Bhutan used to wear crown with a raven on the head. It's called Raven Crown King. You probably know Micah Aris wrote a book called the Book History of Bhutan, the Raven Crown King. Micah Aris was a husband of Aung San Suu Kyi. Micah Aris was a Tibetologist, and he was Tibet Buddhist. And anyway, this book is a wonderful book about the history of Bhutan. So why the Bhutan kings wear crown with a raven on it? Because Bhutan kings, they worship Mahakala. And Mahakala is their protector, Dharma protector, and Drukpa Kagyu, right? Well, it's not just Drukpa Kagyu, Giluk, Sakya, and Nyingma. We all practice Mahakala. They're different. There are 7, 8 different Mahakalas. Total of 72 Mahakalas. And so normally crows are nasty. I'll tell you why crows are nasty. Not all crows like this. Some crows, they pick on pigeons. They actually harm pigeons. They abuse pigeons. I saw in Toronto 2 crows they attacking on the pigeon and pull out the skull, the skin from the head. You can see skull, and really nasty. And that's sort of sad. And why one bird does that to other bird? I guess birds are not different than us human beings. We do like this, Human beings are more nasty than anybody else. And there's some kind of bird picking order and politics goes on. So anyway, this poor crow, if he eats the same plant what the peacock's eating, the crow will die. It's a wrong plant, right? But actually, crows are not really plant eaters. They're carnivores, right? They eat meat and insects and snakes and lizards and so on and so forth. 당연히 보게도 직시인데 아빠오 마전다이스 마저디더니 신나성 두 요설 가사칼에 치니 고랑기 두 용이디 신데 안되고디 세네는 도데니 요차가 여러 잔주 선바데나 이레스 잔주 선바데 코이나르더니 펩 동하게 가서다 된 코한 동하게 잠준들 페네니 semje tamje le pembe chale nang ane kolan jiba yomar shenang yomar ane taukewa jin yugo and then the kata na jimare sum kata singi cha kata ro cha kata de ge tanda maje saya de sebe na ni shiya ni nga yore cha kata zo koran ji do nyoro so ge chao ji de ni ji jiu da na angu da de ni jiu chung chung zo tu shu dang do kata and 가서 대지 가서 조방 넘어 요래 아마도 거기에 되는 조방은 닌지모도 어두스레 가다 간가도 되네 이제 말에 나 가다를 막아매 가다데 자나보다 보러 가다 자나보다 친나보다 야나보다 야 랑고도 또 간가 되는 공부기 이신 공부 처루보다 공부 시야지던 공부 두속이 되래 가서다 계식 세가랑 아주 거기에도 계식 and injigela this totem animals. So okay, so this is good. Tandarin docha jendu nadanda pawa maja da chumban jurus chumbara say bagiji do dining bare chumban jurus edikasana that 바오 마제도 춤반 주르시도 마자기트네 코랑게 다 독세네 가르치고 제 투구 요레스 so that 인지겔라데 under control and retain Tibetan word chunba is an old Tibetan word chumba in English you could say under control or retained and okay so okay, now I go to verse 6. Okay. Verse 6. Verse 5. Okay. How can someone who cherishes self more than others take last in such dangerous poisonous for food? If he tries like a crow to use other delusions, he would probably forfeit his chance for release. Nyumun dang Tejin Jawana, Jarota, Tarpe Sola, Dap, Teacher Simba Majetawi, Duke not and Devi, Nyumunums, Duke not and Devi, Nyumun, Good Jurla, Corvin not Nang Juk, Down to Lala, Tung to Jumper Charles. This is quite simple. So, So one should not do silly things and should not eat the wrong, like a crow might eat the wrong plants, like what the peacock eats. Then he could hurt himself. And and so it is not like the bodhisattva who is like the peacock. Peacock can eat this poisonous plant. He can nourish. He can make his feathers good. Bodhisattvas remain in the world in samsara. Bodhisattva. What that the bodhisattva does? Bodhisattva have any benefit of doing working with all sentient beings? Of course, bodhisattva have benefits. What bodhisattva does is benefit two ways, not just for himself. Because when bodhisattva is practicing 6 perfections, like generosity, morality, patience, perseverance, meditation, concentration, so on and so on. So bodhisattva is benefiting, serving all sentient beings, helping all sentient beings through generosity, through morality, through practicing patience and perseverance. Good example, and so on and so forth. Giving dharma teaching, giving material aid, food, medicine, practice patience, and so forth. Benefit so many sentient beings. At the same time, bodhisattva himself and herself, realization will be advanced, increase all the time. You go from first bodhisattva stage up to second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, all the way to 10th bhumi, then you could become fully enlightened Buddha. This is a benefit for the bodhisattva. But he doesn't think my benefit, her benefit automatically happens spontaneously. This is naturally kind of, in ordinary word we say in English, win-win situation. 다 장주 선박들이 인소 바로 디sember 두 냠내랑 두신 심진 돈집에 가라. 내 심진 담자가 팽기랬다. 짐바 추기 짐바 사진이 짐바 전에 민지가 짐바라서 짐바다 수좀송 조보곰 어두 두신 ele janju sma khorala phendo yorves ran jinzi lu dang yin jinzi shada nang je khorala phendo meverves tene da twa khayan twa do tejim beworo te phendo yodo yo narang 전도 미세기 phendo jene jewa mare soso la mi shin simjin shin la phembe nyamle namne janju sma nyamle na tigi shola rangshuki any janjusum Korang Toba Toro Torchinia, Satambuni, Saniba, Sumba Shiva, Nava, Tuba, Tumba, Chuba, Sanjiko Mamatavan, Honi Pendo we are. The name is Sanjiko Maturo, Sanjiko Matum we are, all did it, Netsuti. So, so this is now 5th verse, right? Yeah. Okay, I will leave it here now. It's already 3:30. And so I want to say a few words before I end here. So another thing I want to say, this Lojong text, as I said, is for sharpening mind, teaching on wisdom, but it talks about, it is one of the main theme of this teaching is karma, okay? And that, for example, when he says wheel of sharp weapon, so you throw this wheel of sharp weapon, it go out there and come back to you in the good ways or bad ways, okay? And you throw a boomerang, it could hit the kangaroo and then also hit you, or maybe only hit the kangaroo, or maybe you only hit yourself, or don't hit the kangaroo, whatever, go around and around. So it's a karmic wheel of karma. It's a karma, okay? So I will talk more about this later on. And this teaching is very profound because some people in the West don't understand what karma is because they think karma means like some kind of a curse. Karma is some kind of blame. Karma is like punishment. Karma is fate. None of this. Karma is not a blame. Karma is not a fate. Karma is not a curse. Karma is cause and effect, law of cause and effect. Whatever I do, the result come back to me. So that's fair, right? And it's not a curse, not punishment. No one punishing. I'm punishing myself. I can punish myself, right? If I punish somebody else, the result come back to me. Then some point in the future, I will be punished by my karma. So then wheel of sharp weapon turns. So this is the point. I'll talk more about the karma. Then the Lojong Sunja Kola the Zowo de Tere, Sonya de Lende College, the Sungo, Lende. That Lende de Shiraza Sabore, Jachimboro, Sangandu Sigore, Lende College Chata, Soma Jaja Jatamba singing Suyorison, Sanji Mato Suchi Yoma, Kunji, Sanji Mato, Lende Soma Chinking Yomare. Chija Mikashiki, Lende Kodi Abushimando, Kaiser, Lende Sidigala, Soso Bay. Katangoyores. So like Carson two jump na yechile teaching Cursing two jumps. And then lending sing the chick chess hana, Yabu in and Duja in Dubu in chick chess hana delia, chick Devusam and the Tati Tumde or Del Juju in the Daya Meva. Then the Chagris and then they get in the Kansachi some of Tango. Kashi lending call she to get she go chimado. And lende yomarisido. But then the thing is really yawaji she will do. Then she na samne she otushai tuji che. And dunda jima azanima lanjayim. So thank you very much. So I will continue next Sunday. And if you have any questions, you're most welcome. I want to mention one thing. Some people didn't realize or thought that we canceled the church practice, church teachings. I did not. I started last Thursday. Some people didn't show up because they thought we canceled in the end of the month. So I will teach church on Thursday as well. So if you have any questions, most welcome. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful teachings today, Rinpoche. Thank you. So Ian asks on page 34 of the commentary in the second last paragraph.
Page 34.
Yeah. The commentary.
He's gone with, page 34. Okay. Commentary.
Ian, is this the same book?
Yeah, I think he's got a different book here.
Anyhow, it talks about the secret yama being subtle dualistic perception of the three types of awareness.
Yeah. That's page 38 here in the book, what I have here.
Okay, so what are the three types of awarenesses?
Okay, thank you for that question. There are three aspects of yama: outer, inner, and secret yamas. Okay. Well, Geshe, this is Geshe Ngao just said here. Three aspects of yamas: outer, inner, and secret. Well, taka means butcher or opponent or antidote. The yama poses all three aspects of yamas. So what was his question?
What are the three types of awareness?
Okay. So then the outer yama is the external lord of the dead who lives in the iron palace with stages below the earth in the direction of the south. He is constantly wrathful for opportunity to destroy living beings, longing, desire, so on and so on. Okay, while subtle dualistic perception of the three types of awareness are the secret yamas. Yama has been on oppose all three. Yamataka, okay, has abandon and oppose all three types of yamas. So here he's talking about subtle dualistic perception of the three types of awareness are the secret yamas. So that means, see, this is talking about the subtle yama. What is the subtle yama? So we have dualistic perceptions. Unless you experience non-duality and directly, unless you experience shunyata directly, then you don't have a dualistic perceptions. You don't have a subtle dualistic perceptions. So subtle dualistic perceptions of the three types means, so when you have a dualistic perception, you, in your mind, three things going on. The subject, your mind, one perception, or what he says here, awareness, right? So awareness and perception very close. So one kind of subtle awareness about your mind. Okay, you are aware of your mind. You are perceiving, right? Then the object, what you're perceiving, you're aware of the object. Then the action. Okay, so here I am meditating. I'm looking at the rose flower. So I know my mind says, I'm looking at the rose flower. My subject mind, subject awareness. And the object is the rose. And then my mind says, oh, I like the rose flower. Smells good. So this is my perception. This is my awareness. Three subtle perceptions, subtle, but they're dualistic. Why they're dualistic? Because in your mind, they think they are separate. My mind is subject, object is the rose, and the activity of your mind, they're totally separate. Yes, on dualistic level, on conventional level, yes, they are separate. But on shunyata level, they're not separate, they're one. Why? Because without your mind, there is no rose flower. Without activity, there is neither your mind or no rose flower. Rose flower is your mind is imputing this label rose. Right? In Tibetan word, we don't use the word rose. We have different words. According to Yogacara school, Chitta Matra school, when they talk about non-duality and duality, they talk about blue color, blue object, blue. Blue is your mind, made blue. Otherwise, without your mind, there's no blue. For example, if you're colorblind, there's no blue. Okay.
Thank you. That was excellent. Amanda asks, is the Lojong mind training based on a specific teaching of Shakyamuni Buddha, or is it more like a collection of Buddha advice by later masters?
Lojong is, yes, collection of teachings explained, expanded by masters through the history. And yes, and I'm not saying Buddha did not taught Lojong, because everything is Lojong. Basically, the whole Buddha Dharma Sangha, Buddha's teaching is Lojong, means mind training. But you have specific text, this format called 8-point thought transformation, 7-point thought transformation, and so on, so on. Actually, we have 108 Lojong texts. We say in Tibet, Lojong Yatsama. I have the book. One book has 108 Lojong texts, concise ones. So, yes, it evolved and developed slowly through the history. Wonderful teaching.
Yes, wonderful.
There's one Lojong, it's about Lojong of food. Food. So we should practice Lojong of food. There are people, lots of food issues, And one time I was making momos. I have to make 5 different momos. One meat momo, one veggie momo, one momo with spelt, one momo with without gluten, and then you have to make one vegan momos. And vegan momos, and so on and so on. And well, and I was exhausted trying to make 5 different momos one night. I said, I give up. I'll just give them salads.
But our mind imputed they were all very good momos. The perception was good.
Yeah, maybe you meditate on the momos.
That was good. Thank you. That's all the questions there are. Unless there are questions about momos.
If you have a question about momos, how to make vegan momos, you want to make perfect vegan momos, let's do it.
No problem.
It's the latest trend, trend. Make a veggie, not only veggie momos, but vegan momos.
Why not?
What kind of momos is that? All right. Good. Okay, well, thank you very much. See you next Sunday.
Oh, one more question.
Yes.
What comes first, the bodhisattva or the bodhicitta?
What comes the bodhisattva and what comes the bodhicitta? And who asked this question?
Rosalind Alexander.
Okay, you meditate on it.
Okay.
I give you homework. Okay. You tell me next Sunday.
Thank you.
Good. Which one first, chicken or egg?
Chicken or egg?